Hi everybody, Dr.Roadhouse with Roadhouse Chiropractic, and we're here on spring break spending time with my favorite teenager here. This is my son Quinn, 16 years old. Today we're going to go over some of our favorite smoothie recipes. And for some of you joining for the first time, I'm a chiropractor. I have an emphasis on sports injuries. I was team chiropractor for the Tulsa zone of the Continental Basketball Association, Tulsa Oilers for the Central Hockey League. I was on the medical staff providing chiropractic care for the golfers at Southern Hills for the PGA Championship and also for the U.S. Golf Association. And then about 11 years ago started doing functional medicine with combination of functional neurology, and mostly with those patients, they're going to be patients that are autoimmune. They could have thyroid problems that don't respond to regular medicine, peripheral neuropathy, irritable bowel syndrome, and fibromyalgia. So anyway, a lot of those patients, they can eat certain foods, and obviously with those patients we do Cyrex testing. And it's the best labs in the world. You can go to cyrexlabs.com, and they're developed by Dr. Vajani, who is the #1 world's top scientist with a PhD degree that figured up these tests for Cyrex labs. And so basically the labs that we're going to do are going to be if you produce an antibody to certain foods. And what that means is for you, there's about 10% of the population that they can't handle certain foods. And 1 teaspoon of it causes brain and colon inflammation for 30 days. So if you have any kind of a chronic health problem that's not responding, this could be, the answer to your problems. So anyway, for these patients, we're going to figure out a diet for them and get them on supplements to fix, because they usually have a lot of problems with the adrenals, the intestine, the gut inflammation. Also, the Cyrex test does the intestinal permeability. So what that means is when you have a problem with intestinal permeability, that means that your gut is inflamed. It lets things into the bloodstream that not supposed to be there. So if you figure the intestine has a screen and it only lets micronutrients in, well, when you have intestinal permeability and you have inflammation, it stretches out and lets things in that shouldn't be there, causes a cytokine response, which is an inflammatory response, and then that can cause a whole host of problems. So anyway, when we get those patients, I came up with this first one we're going to go over is Doc's breakfast smoothie. And the reason I came up with this is because usually patients that have a problem, a chronic problem that's not responding, they usually have a problem with gluten, dairy, soy. And there can be all kinds of different ones, but those are the major ones. So obviously if you have a problem with gluten, that kind of ruins your breakfast, because usually those patients will also have some problems, even if they don't have a problem as far as produce antibodies to. When the colon is inflamed, there's certain foods that inflame the intestine. Well, the eggs do that. Gluten, bread, pancakes, crepes, waffles, all those are gone. So anyway, it is kind of difficult for those patients to get a good breakfast, because you can eat lean meats, proteins, but after a while, who wants to, #1, eat fish in the morning? Not many people. And so it does kind of limit, and not many people want to eat like chicken first thing in the morning. So that's why we came with this smoothie. So the first smoothie that we're going to do, you want to put it with something, some kind of liquid. So we usually use unsweetened almond milk. And almond milk, I would suggest getting at Whole Foods, because if you look at some almond milk on the back over here, it's going to say they have a lot of sugars, as Gwen knows. So this brand here only has 1 gram of sugar for a cup. Okay, so what we're going to do is let's put a cup in that container right there, Quinn. And we got these fancy new measuring. There we go. Good. So anyway, we're going to put that in. And the reason we use almond milk is because a lot of these patients are going to have problem with dairy, casein, whey, soy, or anything like that. So we don't want to use soy milk. So we're going to use either that, or you can use this Vita Coca pure coconut water. You can get this at Whole Foods. And you can get some sugar. You have to be careful on this because there's different coconut waters. And this one here has 11 grams of sugar in it. So I've gotten coconut water before that didn't have any, and I didn't really check it out because I trusted that it's going to be like that. Same thing with the almond milk. There's certain brands that are going to have more. So you got to make sure that you don't have a lot of sugars in you, because part of the problem with these patients that have autoimmune is they've also had a problem where they can't lose weight. And so because of that, you want to keep the sugars down. Sugar is actually more of a problem when you're losing weight than any kind of fat or carbohydrates. So anyway, so you just got to be careful. And I wanted to show this to you because if you just go, oh, I'm going to get coconut water, I'm going to get almond milk, and you don't really check it out, then you know, you could be doing yourself a big disservice and ruin the whole thing, because we have to keep your blood sugar level and your cortisol level. And so if you're taking in sugar, then your body burns sugar for energy, and that's when you can have drop-offs. And that way we have a hard time keeping your blood sugar level. So anyway, so the next thing, the neat thing about smoothies is, smoothies have a lot of different functions. I mean, you can make smoothies that taste great. I mean, you can make it like an ice cream. You know, you can put kinds of chocolate in there, you can put caramel in there or whatever, but we're trying to do healthy smoothies. So the big thing on the healthy smoothies is making sure that you don't put a lot of sugar in there. So the nice thing about smoothies is it's a great way to make a real meal replacement. So the next thing we're going to do is we've got a couple of protein sources. Now, when Quinn was 14, he was during the summer he was skating with these older guys, and they were all into lifting and protein. And so kind of tell them what happened.
They said to get whey protein, and the first day that I took it, I broke out really like that.
So there's different kinds of protein, and so he broke out, and they just thought, well, you know, he's 14, you know, maybe he's starting to get acne. And then he did it again, and after about a week, I mean, his face and his back was broke out. So then I looked at the protein and saw it was whey protein, and did a little research and found out whey and casein protein for teenagers are one of the top causes for acne. So as soon as we took him off, like my wife was saying, maybe we need to take him to a dermatologist. I said, well, let's see if it's this whey or casein, and this protein happened to be casein. So anyway, we got him off it and everything cleared up. So one of the things that you want to do is you have other sources. So this is organic plant protein. And again, you got to be careful because you got to make sure, you know, the sugar, this has 0 grams of sugar. And for 1 scoop, we're going to have Quinn put a scoop in there. It has 15 grams of protein. So go ahead and put 1 scoop in there. So this right here is hemp hearts, raw shelled hemp seeds. And this has 10 grams of protein in it. So if you want a little bit more protein, you can do that. If you get tired of the pea protein, they really don't have a lot of taste. So either one of them is going to be good. And that way, sometimes whey and casein, like in the teenager, can cause acne, but it can also inflame your stomach too and the intestines. So a lot of the patients have problems with that. So anyway, we're going to do with that. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is, the other great thing about smoothies is we can put things in that's going to help with inflammation. So this is coconut oil. Coconut oil has a lot of good properties, but the main thing that we want is it has anti-inflammatory. And so if you can take 2 tablespoons of coconut oil, and you can get this at Whole Foods. I think we got this one at Trader Joe's, but it's good. Just make sure to check all the ingredients on it. And so anyway, we're going to put 2 of those in there. Now, just a quick little tip on the coconut oil. If you put coconut oil in there, and then you put all of the things that you're going to put in, all the ingredients into there, and then you put ice in there, and you hit the button to blend it up. The ice is actually going to make that coconut oil clump up. So what you want to do is we're going to put all this stuff in there, and then we're not going to use ice because ice sometimes makes it too thick and gritty and changes the texture, and some people don't like that. So we're going to use our frozen fruits that we got at Whole Foods. We're going to use raspberries, and we're going to use dark cherries, okay? Antioxidants, they help fight cancer. There's a lot of different things. So anyway, why don't you go ahead and, now here's the thing. You have to be careful before you put that in there. You have to be careful putting too much fruit in the smoothie, because then you're going to get too much sugar. So all we want to do is flavor it a little bit. So just put about 4 or 5 of those cherries in there and a couple of those raspberries. So we got our fruit in there, and that's basically for flavoring. You got to be careful that you don't put too much in there, because then your sugar level is going to get up. You're going to have a hard time losing weight. The other thing is, we'll put vitamin D, and I use the liquids. We try to use liquids or powders anytime we get, because a lot of our patients have problems with reflux, burping, their pH of their stomach might be off, or they have a hard time digesting. As a chiropractor, when we take x-rays of the low back, sometimes we'll see radio opaque objects on there, and it looks, oh, that looks like it's a pill. It could be a vitamin. So anyway, and if the intestine is inflamed, you're going to have a hard time absorbing food and getting the nutrients anyway. So we're going to put vitamin D in there, and let's put a teaspoon of that. And so the thing that you have to remember is a lot of these patients have autoimmune, and they have a lot of these chronic disorders, especially autoimmune patients. They have a higher requirement for vitamin E. Like 3-4 years ago, most medical doctors didn't even check vitamin D. Vitamin D is a hormone that stimulates your immune system. So when you have intestinal permeability issues, you might be taking all these things in the beginning and getting good nutrients in, but the problem is that your intestine is so inflamed that you can't utilize the nutrients. So anyway, we're going to put things in that's going to help with that. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to put in some inflammation. So there's a couple different products here. So we use Reservo and Tumero. And so this has, I think it's 450, let's see here, 420 milligrams of this and this right here. Okay, so we start out patients with this. It's a liquid. It doesn't really have much of a taste, but we're going to put it in our smoothie. But we're not going to do that today. What we're going to do is we're going to use curcumin. And the reason that we're going to do this is really good for muscle and joint support, but it's high in anti-inflammatory. This is 420. This is 2.4 grams. So it's 5 times the inflammatory. And most patients are autoimmune, need a lot more anti-inflammatory. So we've already got the 2 tablespoons of coconut oil. You can do the Reservo and Tumero, or you can do this right here. So I'm going to have you put 1 tablespoon of that in there. Now be careful with this stuff here, because let me just...
It looks like curry.
Yeah, it looks like curry. Okay, so if you look right in here, it's orange, okay? This orange, if you get it on anything white, if you have a counter, if you use like a white spoon or spatula or anything like that, I would suggest using metal and glass, and be careful, because this will stain, and if you get it on your fingers, it'll stain for a while too. So just 1 tablespoon, and be careful not to dump it anywhere. So the thing about, Tumero, Reservo, those right there are really good for anti-inflammatory. They help with digestion. A lot of patients will come in with a smoothie, and they didn't realize that this smoothie might help them with reflux or their stomach issues or their burping. So they take this and they're going, hey, already I'm feeling a lot better. This really helps with inflammation, digestion. It's a high antioxidant, so it saves our DNA when we come in contact with radiation, cell phones, electricity, stuff like that. It increases liver function. It helps with the low density cholesterol, the bad cholesterol. Another thing that I add on there is niacinamide, 500 milligrams. I take 3 of those a day, and this helps. This is a natural alternative to statin drugs to help lower the cholesterol. This helps your body process the cholesterol, where the statin drugs stop your liver from actually making it, which can affect your neurologically and brain health, so it's not good. So anyway, let's put a couple of these in here, and so my assistant's over here snacking and eating up all our food. Okay, so we got that there. So we got the vitamin D, we got the omega in there. The other thing that we put in there, put 3 of those and take the caplets out. They're in caplets. So anything that's in caplets, we just take it out because your body, in the beginning, you might have trouble digesting these things. So we want to make sure that you get the most amount of nutrients into your system that you can. So this is True Bifido Pro. Has 50 billion international units of prebiotic. This is Theralac. It has 50 billion. Okay, so we'll put those in there for gut health. Those things are real good as far as if you want to colonize the entire GI tract. So what do these things do? These line the tract so that later on, if you do have a problem with gluten, it won't quite do so much damage. Now these are probiotics. There's also prebiotics, and prebiotics are certain foods that you can eat that are actually going to help the probiotics work better. And so we're going to try, when we have a patient that has a problem like that, we put those foods into their diet, so it helps them with that. So anyway, you got your cherries in there, you got that. Okay, I think we need, since we're going to have, I'm going to drink some of that too. Why don't you put another 4 ounces in there?
Wait, how much is that?
We'll just put a cup in there.
Okay.
Also, I had a trivia question. I was wondering if anybody knows what this is. I was just at Central Market, and we ate this. It's a food item. And
It's a fruit item.
no,
Looks weird.
it's pretty good. Anyway, if anybody knows what that is, just I know what it is. Some of the other smoothies that we were going to do, we were going to use a beet. Beet is good for anemia. It helps keep the blood pressure low. So anyway, let's put that puppy in there and then shake it up.
Wait, what?
Put the lid on.
Okay.
What? What? That's just a typical teenage response. We only get that a couple times a day. Just put it in there now. All right. Just do it. All right, so let's pour that in here. And if this is teenager approved, if he'll drink it and thinks it's good, then I think anyone will drink it. Okay. So you can tell the color on this, and the color is kind of like pinkish purple. And so anyway, that's from the dark cherries, because it really balanced out the orange. If you just take that orange stuff like that, as my wife says, it's not very good. Okay, so go ahead and try that. And
Yeah, it tastes pretty good.
yeah. Okay. So good. So anyway, the other thing that you can do with the smoothies is you can make them up ahead of time, like any of the fruits that you're going to do. Like we have another one that I do that's reduces inflammation, and it's a half cut of pitted dark cherries, which are antioxidants, orange, half an orange peeled, a cup of raspberries, a quarter cup of, that's a quarter cup of raspberries, a quarter cup of shredded beets, and a third cup of red grapes, and 1 tablespoon of fresh lime juice. We have some lime juice right here. This is for inflammation. So what you can do is you can take the dark cherries, the orange peel, the strawberries, the shredded beets, and the grapes, and put them in here and put colon cleanse on here or anti-inflammatory, and freeze them up in your freezer ahead of time. Then you just come over and do this, and then you just put in the lime juice or the coconut water or the almond milk. And that way you can do a lot of different things and have them already made. This is a great meal replacement if you're having a hard time losing weight, or if you want to do weight loss, it's really good. But also just the different cleanses or the inflammation diets or Doc Smoothie you can make ahead of time. and get everything straight out. So anyway, I hope that gives you something. The other thing I wanted to say real quick is you have to be careful when you're using protein, because a lot of proteins have hidden sugar in them. I use these Ostrom. They have some sodium in them, but I'd rather have the sodium than the sugar. There's only 1 gram of sugar in there, so there's 15 grams of protein. So you can take this mid-morning, mid-afternoon, whenever you get hungry, and it's really good. You have to be careful, because I used to use protein bars. They started putting high fructose corn syrup in there, and they have a lot of sugars. So you think that you're taking a protein bar and you're going to be in good shape and lose weight. You actually gain weight, because some of the protein bars have like 12 to 15 grams of sugar. So anyway, hope that helps you on this breakfast smoothie. And so anyway, we'll look forward to seeing you next week, and appreciate everyone tuning in, and hope the smoothie here will give you another option. And smoothies are really a good way to do a meal replacement and get the nutrients in. Instead of swallowing 15 or 20 pills, you can put them in there. It's liquid. It's going to be a lot easier to absorb. Your stomach doesn't have to worry about digesting all the little caplets and pills. So next time, we'll see you next Tuesday. Thanks for tuning into the Ask Dr. B show. We didn't cover any questions today, because I'm on vacation. I don't know how to do that. My staff usually does that for me. So any questions yet, ask Dr. B show at Gmail, and we'll talk about them next Tuesday at 12 o'clock. See you then. Thanks.